Good morning. Again, just to reiterate from yesterday, I hope everybody who were here, they had a good session and learning sessions as well, and hopefully we continue on day 2 as well. My name is Asif Sabir. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Gobazzar. We are basically, we started off as a price comparison platform, but then realized the amount of data that we had for online retailers, we could obviously provide market intelligence. And so coming from a data perspective, and it's a good topic that we're discussing, owning your data and how do we train people. So I'm joined with my fellow colleagues, experts in the industry. So with that in mind, I would like everybody to introduce themselves one by one and then give from the industry you come from, and then we'll just start the discussion.
So I'm Hussain Al Lawati. I do head the IT change and innovation. Apparently, I got the opportunity of being the one of the members who had set up the co-foundation of our business intelligence within the National Bank of Oman. My entire career is with the bank, so I've seen quite often the improvement that happens on the industry of data and how things are getting changed. So I hope I can add some good amount of experience and insights today, inshallah.
Thank you.
So hi again, it's Florian. More or less my main job is as an IT or service entrepreneur with my holding company. But here in Dubai, yesterday and the next 2 days, we are here with one of our entities, which is Securenication, an IT security consultancy, which is delivering security services worldwide for our customers. So own your data, train your people. Totally our topic. Perfect. And hopefully, and I think we will have quite a good discussion together. So I'm very keen.
Thank you, Flo.
Ahmed Hanafy, Digital Planet CEO from Egypt. I'm founder for Digital Planet company, located based our headquarters in Egypt, and have another office here in UAE, and third one at Riyadh. We are specialized in cybersecurity solution to deliver the managed service to our customers across the world. We worked with the managed service in Egypt for the first as a first partner in 2019 and succeeded to achieve the platinum partnership level with the most of our vendors within only 6 months, I think. So it was a great success story for us.
Thank you, Ahmed. So we've got a great panelist here in terms of great experience from a security point of view, from finance, from industry, technologies, and then again from security. So with that in mind, we know, look, data, we've been hearing this from, from years now, the data is the new oil, the data is more the valuable asset. So the main question is, how do you own your own data? Obviously, today's world, we're online all the time, 24/7, right? So we're leaving our digital footprints on the in the space of this cloud world type of thing. So and then how are people, or how do you make sure that that data, that the digital footprint you're leaving, how do you make sure that it's secure, and how do you understand that it's been used for the valuable services that you're leaving your data on there. With that in mind, I'd like to kick off the topic, own your own data and train your people, where I'll start with you, Mr. Hussain, that how do you in your organization feel that, how do you own your own data?
So I think to answer the question, there are quite different aspects that have to be looked at. Obviously, data classification is one of these critical elements that have to be ever looked at. Without classifying the data that flows in and out, being a bank, you see all sorts of data flowing in. So data classification is one of these critical elements that have to take place. According to the data classification, then it becomes how do you govern the data? How do you architecture the overall solution, the accessibility to the different people and to different departments, groups in terms of the data accessibility? Now, obviously, we do deal with customers, be it retail, corporate, SMEs, and those customers also varies from one class to another. Obviously, the higher you go to the class of these customers, you have to protect their data and make sure the data privacy is of a higher bit compared to the rest of the classes. Now, there are data which has to be protected for everyone, and it is by law. And I believe the regulator, be it in Central Bank of Oman aspect or the CMA aspect, I think both of them do play a role in terms of setting the data classification standards and the data governance standards for the bank. I think that what the banks do today.
Right, Hussain. I think obviously in your industry, especially the finance and the banking industry, there's a bit more rigorous regulations, right, to keep that data more secure and protected compared to, I would say, me using a platform where I'm buying something online, right? So with that in mind, Flo, I'll come to you. You obviously have some great experience in entrepreneurial organizations, and now you're working in the customer service side of the world. So what's your view on owning your data in hand, keeping that secure?
Pretty much the same what Hussain was talking about, especially if you take a look at the finance industry in Europe, or especially in Germany. It's pretty much the same. And the question we're facing with our banking customers is the moment, if we talk about own your data, who is owning the data? So because it's a part of a chain in the end. In the front, of course, you have your banking customer or a customer of any other industry, and he obtains personal data from the customer. But as we all know that sourcing management, for instance, in a huge corporation with the big tech industries and the cloud providers in the background, banks, especially in Germany, they have sourcing contracts with big IT data center suppliers, means that they are not personally own the data, so the contractor owns the data. So in the end, it's a chain. And from our point of view, in regards to data classification, this is the solution, doing proper IT security risk management. Because there are data you may own, which is better, your strong confidential data, your business secrets in the end, doesn't matter if you're a bank or a productive automotive company, whatever, you have some secrets you want to own. And then there are data publicly noted by everyone in the World Wide Web, so this data can be owned by everyone in the end because there's no rate in regards to confidentiality. And from our point of view, a management throughout this question, having in mind what data do we have in our company, what data are at our suppliers, and what are the needs of our customers, this management system is crucial for a good cyber and IT security strategy. To give an answer on knowing which data is owned by whom, and then having the correct IT security regulations and requirements, and especially measures in place by giving this security throughout this whole chain of customers, company, suppliers, and so on.
Right. No, great. Mr. Ahmed, before I come to you, I just want to say that, again, we see many platforms online and they've got the little privacy button at the bottom. When you click on that, honestly, hands on, show me hands aware that how many people read that, you basically skip it, and it probably just identify how your data is being used and how the company is going to share that data with other third parties type of thing. But I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. You just click accept and that's it, right? So, Mr. Ahmed, in your experience, obviously you come from a cybersecurity environment and you're helping organizations to implement the solutions and integration. So what's your your view on owning that data, and how would you think individuals can obviously take benefit of this?
From cybersecurity point of view, when you're owning your data, you are owning your security actually, because you protect your privacy. All your critical data, you know that the value of the data is how much it will affect you, even personally or on your business. Okay, this is the value of your data. So when you own your data, you own this value if this data is really critical for you. Okay, I think the most challenging in owning your data is how to secure your data, how to protect sharing and avoiding sharing anything with untrusted people, using untrusted platforms, or click on untrusted links. The communication now able to make any resistant to the received links or so on. The main challenge for any business now is the human resistant himself, because everyone in your entity is a vulnerability. Actually, if you avoided training him well, if you didn't invest in the security awareness to learn your people how to protect their data, you are really gain a vulnerability in your business.
Thank you so much. Again, coming back to my previous, where we click on these privacy buttons and we accept everything. There's certain, what do you call, platforms available in the market, right? Which obviously give you the autonomy or give you the security that this is how your data is going to be used to give you those messages. But coming back to you, Flo, obviously from a improving the customer experience perspective, where do you see these platforms, if they are available, or how can they help improve organizations to understand how the data is being used and what's being protected?
I think in regards B2B, there will always be strict rules how to handle the data of my customer, of the other company, especially in regards to relationships between companies. It's a trustworthy business. I mean, in the end, IT, of course, is also people business. So it's about relationships, network. We have to handle all the data given by our customers in a trustworthy way. But I think in regards B2C, where I'm putting up a platform, obtaining data from customers, and now the customers, the people, as a single family using Instagram, or I don't know. I think your own personal data will become more and more like money. So you don't give amount of dirhams, dollars, or anything else to get a service. It's like you're giving your own data. And from our point of view, the responsibility is up to these companies, because this has to stay in balance in the future. And the awareness putting into terms and conditions, trying to read what you're accepting, and people like us are in the room who knows that there are some very heavy things in it, you know, what you give into the world if you click on accept. So we might know it, all in the room might know it, but there are a lot of people who are not knowing it. And I think this is the second part of this panel discussions in regard awareness and train your people. So everyone who knows it, from our point of view, has a social responsibility and telling this to people who might not know. And this social responsibility, from our point of view, will be crucial in regards to your question, Asif.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I will definitely come to that, where you have to train, you know, your individuals and all that. So coming back to you, Mr. Hussain, same thing, roughly. Obviously, let's say you're not in the banking industry, right? Obviously, you've been in your life, but in terms of where do you see the owning your data aspect in terms of from a non-financial perspective? Where do you see the key role is where individuals can play?
I don't need to separate myself from the financial sector. It's all around. See, to be very honest, the first element, and I just take what Florian has mentioned, it's a chain. So, and that chain starts from the one who provides that asset. Today we have to all understand the data is one of the most valuable assets we have, everyone has, and all the organizations are looking forward to get the maximum of it.
Yeah.
So it all starts from what do you share and being aware of what do I share at what time with whom. Because that is very critical, and a general awareness is a must, because if people do not know that they are giving away their entire life to organizations, to platforms. Google, for example, today knows everything about me, right? Obviously, that happened because I clicked on and accepting terms and conditions. Same with other aspects. Now, there could be organizations where they do have these advanced techs and they can go the extra mile. There are industries which might not have today these tools and kits, but they will definitely have, because that they all understand that the data is the oil of today's world. So it all starts from being aware of what you're sharing, and taking the conscious steps of doing so with any platform, be it bank or any external platform, even your social media platforms, which is part of our life to life, day-to-day life.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I know we obviously will talk about standard best practices, coming in, what need to be implemented. So with that in mind, Mr. Ahmed, I was just going to come back to you now. Yes, we know about owning the data, but what do you feel are the challenges of owning those data? How do you think we can secure that and making sure that it doesn't get used or abused internally and externally?
The challenges from the business vision is the investment, because they have to invest more in different sectors. Like they have to invest in the technology, they have to invest in the security and in the training. And I think after all this investment, if you didn't focus on the training well and invested well, you still have a vulnerability. So the investment have to be balanced between the technology and the human training. From the end user perspective, the challenge always that they have to focus on same like what Hussain told us. What are you sharing and with whom? Because the most common phishing email now, it need to huge focus. You know that once he changed the A to Latin letter, it's totally different domain, and it's direct you to another platform. So you have to be aware and focus on everything you are click on. What you are sharing is the most important thing to protect your data. The permissions that you give and allow the platforms and the mobile apps to get. Most of us allow. It's okay without training. The terms and conditions. It's not just to click agree. it's to be read. So all of that from the business and individual perspective, I think it's very important to protect our data, and it's a huge challenge nowadays.
Sure, thanks. And before we touch on the training side, I want to still stay on the challenges. So any comments from yourselves, Hussain or Flo? Where's the challenges?
Maybe it's not the directly to the challenges part, but I'm again sticking back myself to the financial industry. For the customers, for the individuals dealing with the banks or with any other platform, today they are in between of two different paths, and those get to be paved based on their decisions. When I protect my entire data and I maintain full security of my data, but at the same point of time, I do miss tailored products and services. On the other aspect, the more I share, I get things to be tailored to me. And that's what happens today with all of us, right? We, in many aspects, we do like that those platforms like Instagram and other social media platforms, that they know what I want and they do offer me based on what I want. Apparently that comes at the price of me sharing the extra data. So that is from the client or customer aspect. From the bank aspect, there are quite good number of challenges that gets to be faced. Number one, at the end of the day, these are all people. And those are the same people who are outside sharing their data with the different other platforms. How do you make them aware that data is not something that can be played with? It has to be maintained safe, it has to be maintained secure, it has to be very well protected, and can be only used for the right thing. And to have a return for the client or for the customer, for the organization, obviously for the bank, and enhancing the overall industry.
Sure, thanks. Again, we come to this crossroad, right, where we want to share our data. We want to, with that data, we want to reap the benefits, but also we want to keep ourselves secure. And you want to see how these companies are decommoditizing this data and making sure that they don't misuse it. So this all comes to education and training again, right? So Flo, coming from your perspective, what do you think is the most important part of, how do you train individuals to become literate about the data? Obviously, we have to create a data mindset organization, first of all, I would say, right? Based on that, if you educate your employees or internal staff, then obviously that disseminates to outside as well. But what's your view on training individuals?
As I said in the second part of our keynote yesterday morning, there's not this one achievement and then all my organization is secure. Like obtaining one security training given by the CISO to 3 months, 1,000 people, and then I can say, all right, my organization is aware now. We tried that the last 15 years, and what we see now is that the human being is still the top risk in our IT organization from a security perspective. And that's the reason why we said, all right, we need a system, like we have to strengthen our human firewall, but continuously. We have to obtain manual trainings. We have to do it digitally, maybe via web-based trainings. We have to implement gamification parts maybe in it, that it's interesting to learn why you need a 15-digit password. I can tell it all to the people now, or to my audience, no matter where I are, or I try to do it in a gamification way to understand, even for a non-techie, what's the technical reason behind it, but in an easy way. And I think if we start this, day by day, again and again, and do it like the ISMS, plan to check act, continuously improvement, if we try to adapt these systems into strengthened human firewall and into the social behavior part of security, which is from our point of view a very big one, I think then we will increase over the years our human firewall, and this whole problem in regards to people risk in IT security landscape will decrease. From our point of view, this is the strategy every company should go within the next years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's really important, obviously, to implement those internally, right? Those policies and making sure that your individuals or internal, you get the knowledge and then that's disseminated to outside. So, Mr. Ahmed, in your experience or in your work, what you've done in the past few years, what's your view on, making sure that individuals are accountable for the data and they are trained in such a way that they are data mindset ready?
I think any entity have to add in the employees' KPIs. A part considers the data protection. Nowadays, the training become easier because the business simply can deploy a hacking simulation to be like as a training for the customers, phishing campaigns, security awareness simulation, to allow the employee during his working hours always and making him always remember that this is the most important, because it's really the human is the most vulnerability, is the biggest vulnerability ever. Whatever the technology you invested on, whatever the latest upgrades you made, still the human is the biggest vulnerability in your business.
Totally agree. It's the human that obviously, no matter what you do, you're going to make a mistake or you're going to leave a post-it somewhere with something on there, right? So, Mr. Hussain, coming back to you then, in terms of your organization, obviously from a banking again, I believe that you must have some rigorous training programs for individuals to make them understand, what the data is or how they need to make sure that it's not exposed or it's not vulnerable to the outside world. So do you have any programs implemented internally, and how do you keep up to standards? Meaning, obviously, these regulations keep changing quite regularly, and based on that, how often do you update them, and if you do, that is, and what's the standard practices in your organization?
Yeah, obviously we do, and we cannot avoid being always up to date, being a bank, right? We do have a very strong regulator also sitting next to us who makes sure that we are there. So I think there are a couple of things which we do in general. So there is a governance body from our risk group who directly reports to the board of directors, and they make sure that everyone within the organization, whatever is the role, whatever is the grade, whatever is the department, group, whatever is the case of that person, each and every individual has to go for a training. Now, obviously, that is challenging if you do it the old way. But then if you do it with gamifications, you do it the interactive way, you do tend to give actual examples of their day-to-day businesses, be it from IT side or from operations side or from the frontliners, those customer service officers or the tailors in the branches. If by tailoring it to their day-to-day, I think that is the way that our risk group tries to educate and make sure that the entire set of resources within the bank are aware of the importance of the data and the how do you protect the data, how do you make sure that the custody of what you have in terms of the data asset is safe and protected. That is from one aspect. Then there is another aspect of so we do have a small kind of academy within the organization who trains people from within the organization and outside the organization. And those guys do play a very critical role in terms of making sure that, yes, adhering to the policies, processes, that they are set by the regulator, by the governance bodies within the bank in terms of protecting the data. However, there are opportunities that if you do it right in the right way, then they can arrive at some other level of your business, ensuring that there is a good amount of training on data literacy, ensuring that or making sure that they work with different groups and functions within the organization, including the innovation desk that I had, in terms of bringing the data-driven decision-making culture within the organization. All of this builds into the innovative products, builds into innovative services, but without obviously giving away on the data security and data privacy aspect.
Right. So that's interesting because obviously you're taking steps to obviously educate and make your organization more data literate. Again, you don't have to be in technology, right, to just think about data. Any business, right? I could be selling fruit in the market. If I got an online presence, I'm sharing data, right? So I need to be, as a small business or a large business, I need to be data aware. What I'm sharing, what I'm trying to visualize in the online presence. And with that, Flo, coming back to you then, how do you feel that government or individuals and technologies, what their responsibilities would be to training in these normal consumers like ourselves, or large organizations as well?
Do you mean by giving by institutions?
Yeah.
What their responsibilities?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if a company or
Exactly. Yeah.
I think first of all, which is also part of our basic security awareness trainings, is the understanding that a data can be crucial or non-crucial in regards to the criticality the information itself has. So because that means that we can filter in the discussion between the information we have to talk about, we have to secure, where in the end every employee, every individual has an own responsibility by using IT, no matter if you're sitting in a government, in a company or somewhere else. And the rest of the information, which is maybe publicly known or it's just normal information where there's no need for security requirements. So I think the first responsibility in regards to training is understanding data classification itself. This is one of the most crucial facts, that the organization knows that we have informations which are very critical in regards to confidentiality or even availability, to be honest. And then there are information which are not. And the security measures we want to train in the after chapters after the introduction, they are running about the critical informations. And this is the reason why I say, let's start with the basic, let's kick off with the basic, by giving the understanding to everyone that there are data which are critical and there are data which are not critical. And this you can even take into your own private life in regards to to come back to your terms and condition facts. Because if you take informations about yourself, there are informations which are non-critical, like your name, first name and surname. In regards to GDPR, to go to a regulative part back again, it is sensitive information. But the GDPR says we have to take at least 3 informations to talk about a data security fault if they are leaked. Because if I know your first name and I know your last name, there could be, again, 1,000 people with your first and your last name. So I need a third information to maybe come to your personal belongings or to your personal data. And this is the second step, that information, they are connecting towards each other. And we have to make sure that we know which is the criticality we are talking about in that respect of that information. And from a personal perspective, what for information of my personal belongings and of my Florian Abeln thing I'm giving towards the society and to big organizations and so on. And I think these are the main responsibilities and basics we have to start kicking off in regards to training.
Sure, thanks. Hussain, coming to you, Mr. Ahmed, sorry, coming to you. It's a global world, it's a huge, we've got 7-8 billion people in the world. How do you think we can reach these people from a government level to give them the education and awareness that this is how you need to protect your data? Do you think from a government point of view, what kind of things that they can do, coming from Middle East, Europe or North America, what kind of, I would say, in my mind, is campaigns or advertisements, right? They can do to make people, a normal person, not everybody's going to read, the Data Privacy Acts, and they're not going to read the privacy policies, but there are certain, messages that they can influence with that, before you go online, before you share your data, there's certain things you can do. So do you think there's a way that governments can play a role in this?
Actually, nowadays we are seeing that happen, especially in the countries which focus on digital transformation. Now we can see advertising talking about outdoor advertising talking about security awareness topic and how to protect your data and how to avoid sharing everything with untrusted people. Now we are receiving SMS campaigns and email campaigns from governments and banks, even from private sector or public sector, talking about cyber security awareness and how to protect our data. I think it's become a vision for any government looking forward to make a real digital transformation. And one of the main scope in the digital transformation file is how to make awareness to all people to protect their data and avoid losing their data. So I think it's already happened nowadays. Previously we didn't see that, but now with the vision of most of government now to digitalize, they are focusing on that.
Right. So so I believe that it needs to accelerate like by tenfolds, I think now, because obviously technology is moving so far ahead. I don't want to go into the other topics like the AI and the ChatGPT side of the world. There's obviously privacy there as well. But with that in mind, again, I think we've had an amazing discussion. I've learned a lot from you guys. I'm coming back to the audience. If there's any questions and answers, we just got a few minutes. So any questions from the audience? Please. Someone get a mic.
Good morning, gentlemen. So it was quite astonishing to hear the different perspective what you've been presenting from different side of the data privacy, data security, information security. We hearing them a lot, right? So with your experience, you all are quite good in your place. Tell me about your experience, that when and how do you struggle with the people in the board, okay? We talk about top up and the bottom down approaches about security. So often the challenge is what we have experienced is that you can educate, you can train all the people around, but what happens when the C-suite comes and then all the rules get bypassed? because of certain priorities, because of certain urgencies, and then it lends up to the culture formation where you train everybody from top and the bottom, but you make one simple mistake because of certain tailoring effect, and that takes a toll on your security. Have you got any experience around that? Have you got any scenarios within your experience, and how did you handle it?
Anybody wants to take that on? I think, yeah, let you. So where do you think from a senior level, how do you, put that information and influence the decision making of what you need to do from a data privacy point of view? So I think that's where you're coming from, yeah?
To a point, but my point was more importantly around that when you make a policy formulations and process everything in a company. But what happens then at times when somebody in the very high suite board member asks you to do something which is against the policies, of course, okay, because of a certain reason, because of a certain, then how do you handle that tailoring effect so that does not formulate as a culture part of it? And then there has to be somebody to take responsibility of that side effect that could generate that decision.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most crucial parts of an effective security strategy that as an CISO or an IT security manager, you have the board of management behind you. Otherwise, it won't work in any company. You can have the best policies, the best processes. If there is a CEO, COO, doesn't matter in which company, which is not supporting the IT security strategy, you won't have any awareness completely in your company, and the whole system starts shaking. So this is totally true. From our point of view, if you take a look at the backbone of German industry, which is the Mittelstand, there is a funny story that a lot of CEOs, 150-year-old companies, the CEOs, they are not interested in IT security till something happens. Then they are fully aware of all the security strategies and so on. So from our point of view, we are conducting special board trainings for security by talking in their language. We had it yesterday at the female panel discussion. One of the panelists was talking, I learned to talk with my points in the way the customer or the opponent wants to hear it. And this was such a good point. And the same thing we have to do with our executives by telling them in their language what our needs from the security reason are. So this is the only way we can do it.
Thank you. Any further questions? No? I think my time's up. Oh, sorry, is there one? Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Good. One question, and this is more like, again, possibly a future trend that I would like your opinion on, but we hear conversations from a regulatory point in the US shift to the fact that cybersecurity is the responsibility of organizations and not the end consumer or the end point at which it probably gets compromised, right? Do you, and since you're talking about CEOs and CIOs and CISOs and a lot of liability gets transferred, how do you respond to this? Do you think that's how we are going to move in that direction? And will that make companies thereby much more hyper alert and take different steps around this?
And do you want to take that?
But someone other please can answer. But what we are telling our American customers is that it's not a good solution by putting up responsibility in security in general. It's a topic from all of us. So this is what I directly say against this argument coming from the United States. We hear it also. It's a unified topic in the end. But of course, a company which needs data, sensitive data, has a higher responsibility in regards to awareness than the customer, which might not know what data I'm giving towards the company. So of course, we have different layers of responsibility, but at the end, it's a topic from all of us. And from our point of view, we should not start by discussing which responsibility is more or less. It's a responsibility from all of us. But in different layers, and everyone should understand from his perspective what is my responsibility in this total tech game.
Yeah. as he told, actually, the responsibility is for all, starting from the head of the organization till the all stuff, especially the non-technical people, because they have to be aware from everything more than the technical people. For sure, the technical people are well trained to deal with that, but the non-technical people, especially the financial people, they own a very, very critical data, and they don't have the technical background to fulfill enough to protect their data. So the main responsibility in this topic, it will be on the employee before the top management. The top management responsibility is to train the employee, and the responsibility on the employee is to stick to the rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. With that in mind, I will thank Mr. Ahmed, Flo, Hussain for joining us today, providing us quite useful insight, and hopefully we've provided some thoughts and education to the audience. So thank you very much. Thank you.